As Gomer used to say, surprise, surprise, surprise. Welcome inside a Monday morning edition of The Bottom Line. Juju Phillips will be joining me here shortly. We thought since Valentine's we'd do it on a Monday morning, and that way maybe we wouldn't get in trouble tonight with it being Valentine's Day. Glad to have you along with us here on The Bottom Line. Beautiful morning this morning, 29 degrees outside is what I'm showing. What a difference a couple days make. Yesterday was considerably cooler than what we had earlier in the week, as we had some of those 70-degree days, which was really nice, but it didn't last very long. This week's going to be kind of normal, 50s. We might hit 60 degrees one day. I think there's some rain, measurable rain coming in over the weekend, but it looks like it will be wet. It will not be frozen, so we got that to look forward to. Did you stay up and watch the Super Bowl last night? I did. Even though it was past my bedtime, I did stay up. And I thought it was a good Super Bowl. Only one call that was flagrantly missed, but it wound up not being a problem for the outcome of the game. On Saturday morning on the Saturday show, I made my prediction, and I said Rams 24-22 was my final score. And it came out to be Rams 23-20. So that was a close prediction. I did predict the Rams to win the Super Bowl at the beginning. I predicted the Rams and the Chargers. My Chargers let me down, but I did predict the Rams. And I think it's a great day for Matthew Stafford. There's a good chance that Aaron Donald may retire. Andrew Whitworth may be one of those that retires as well. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But anyway, it was a good Super Bowl. I thought the commercials were pretty good. Nothing to write home about. A couple that I liked bringing the baby back for E-Trade. Did you see that one? Did you see the E-Trade one? That was a good one, where they brought the baby, and it was funny. The pilot was a baby. Split decision on the halftime show, depending on what generation you're in. My generation, for me, did not care for it. A younger generation, maybe back 10 to, say, 20 years ago, loved it. That was their music. Snoop, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige. It wasn't a bad halftime show, just wasn't my cup of tea. I thought the national anthem was great. I thought the God Bless America was great. I thought everything. It was very, very good. Very good Super Bowl. Richie, good morning. The one call that bothered me that got missed, and I posted this on our little chat that we do, was the one where T. Higgins grabbed Jalen Ramsey's face mask on a long pass, hooked it, pulled it, jerked him to the ground, made the catch, and that gave him a touchdown. Did not like that. That's why I say every play needs to be reviewed. Undoubtedly, there was not an official in the area. I knew something happened because I saw his head snap. Then when he went back and replayed it, but that's why every I forgot. Yeah, The Rock. The Rock was a big part of the Super Bowl last night as well. Every play should be reviewed. That one could have cost them the game, and that one was flagrant. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't anything, but that was a foul. That was a penalty that should have been called, but it wasn't. Now, other than that, I think I haven't looked at the box score, but I'm pretty sure that the box score would show you that the penalties were very, very low until the end of the game, okay? The very end of the game, it got a little ugly, got a little chippy at times. Joe Burrow went 22 of 33, 263 yards. He was sacked 7 times. He tied an NFL record for the number of sacks in a Super Bowl. And I cannot remember who the last one was. Matt Stafford went 26 of 40, 283 yards. He was sacked twice. The Rams could not get a running game going. And go ahead and mark it down. Cincinnati will be back. Maybe not next year, but that's a team you're going to have to contend with for a couple of years. There's no doubt about that. I was looking for the penalties here in the box score. Let me see. No fumbles. There were 2 picks, as I said. Stafford did not throw a pick. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. He did throw 2 picks. It was Joe Joe Burrow that did not throw a pick. Penalties. Well, they don't have penalties on here. Juju called me and I swiped my phone the wrong way. Hopefully he'll call me right back. I was looking. Can't believe they don't have penalties on here. Penalties were a few. Let me see if I can call Juju back. Good morning, sir. I swiped my phone the wrong way. That sometimes happens.
All right.
Juju Phillips joining me. So I'm just going over Super Bowl. I'll get your thoughts as well and how you felt like that came about. Did you like it, the game itself?
Yeah, I did, Lanny. It's a very competitive game. I think, as you might see, most football games, championship games, comes down sometimes to the best players making the plays and the team that wins the line of scrimmage when the game's on the line turns out to be the winner. And that's what we saw last night with the Rams coming back and winning that game in the second half, even though they were down some key players, even though they were getting beat in that second half on some big plays by the Bengals. When the game was on the line, the offense and defensive lines, they protected Matt Stafford. They got a pass rush on Joe Burrow, and their best players stepped up at the right time and came up with some key plays, namely Aaron Donald and of course Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Just a good team comeback win. And for the Rams, it goes to show you sometimes that in football, you always want your best players to be put in position to win games. And that's what the Rams did last night, both offense and defensively. Yeah. But I think they won the line of scrimmage, and that was a big key.
Well, and you know, I couldn't figure out why the Rams couldn't get a running game going. It looked like it was a pretty darn good defensive scheme from Cincinnati that really is what caused them not to be able to get that.
They did, and I don't think when the Rams got down in the second half, I think they gave up on the running game. They used it a little bit to maybe try to hold on possession of the football. But I think with some of their key players, the wide receivers, Odell Beckham went down with an injury, and had some other kids, other young players that got banged up. They just had to go to more of a short passing game. And I felt like that the Bengals, once they got the lead, that they could have scored one more time and put the onus on a 2-score game and really forced the Rams to abandon their game plan. That could have been big, but the Rams defense clamped down in the second half after they got down, and that pass rush, they didn't even have to blitz. They had a pass rush that was unbelievable, 7 sacks. And again, I just think they won the line of scrimmage. They protected Matt Stafford enough, and they rushed the quarterback on defense and got to Joe Burrow just enough times to force him into some mistakes, but force him to throw the football away.
Does it go back and show you that the team that does the best with halftime adjustments usually wins the game?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, to start the third quarter, Cincinnati scored that touchdown on the, first or second play. And then once the Rams got the ball,
was that not the penalty play that should have been a penalty?
Yeah.
T. Higgins with the face mask on Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a receiver and you can get away with it, all the power to you.
Yeah.
And that was the case. And then the Rams on their first possession threw that tip pass, and it was an interception. But if the Bengals had scored a touchdown there instead of settling for a field goal, I think would have been maybe a much bigger outcome. And had Cincinnati scored again after that, they just never could. So you give the Rams credit for, you mentioned about halftime adjustments. I think defensively they made some adjustments, the Rams did in that second half. And when you look at what Cincinnati tried to do defensively, they tried to go a lot man-to-man and double and triple team Cooper Kupp. And every time that they did not double team or triple team Cooper Kupp, he was able to get open for the touchdown and for some key clutch receptions there on that last drive.
Cooper Kupp was your MVP for the evening, and I think that was the right call as well. He had an exceptional game. One were you pleased with the game itself? I mean, there was nothing, I guess you'd say, tremendously exciting about it, but I thought it was a great game to watch competitively.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was hang on. Yeah, it was a really good game. I thought that it wasn't a game that was filled with a lot of highlights back and forth, but it was competitive and it had some drama to it. It's not going to go down as the greatest Super Bowl game ever, but it did go down to the wire, as most Super Bowls here of late have. And so, yeah, I thought it was, if you were going to rate it 1 through 10, I'd probably say about an 8, maybe 8.5.
Mm-hmm. I know when you look at one of the trends or records, or they always give you these trends. When they did the coin flip, the team that won the coin flip for the last 7 Super Bowls lost. Were you aware of that?
I think I heard that before, yes.
That was a stat that was up there, and then that's when I said, oh, my gosh, my pick for the Rams is doomed because, it's hard to beat little streaks like that. All in all, I don't think there was anything that you could come away and say, well, gosh, it wasn't a fair Super Bowl, those kind of things. Here's one of the things. Go back and look at the stats, and this is what I think made it good for me. For a person who doesn't have to have a total highlight reel to enjoy a game. Total plays, the Rams ran 66, the Bengals ran 61. Total yards, the Rams had 313, the Bengals had 305. Total drives, both had 13 drives. Now, that last drive by the Rams was impressive. Plays per yards per play, 4.7 for the Rams and 5 for the Bengals. The numbers were almost identical, even down to time of possession. The Rams had it 30 minutes and 47 seconds, and the Bengals had it 29 minutes and 13 seconds.
That's as even as you're going to get it. You're right.
In a Super Bowl that only had a total of 41 penalty yards across 6 penalties, 2 for the Rams, 4 for the Bengals. Now, I don't know whether it was that clean or whether the officials just decided no blood, no foul, we're going to let them play.
I think it was the latter.
Okay.
I think it was.
They did a great job because I don't want the officials to be a part of it.
Yeah, you're right. And I think they did that for the entire playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the playoffs as well. You asked me about the Super Bowl. That last drive by Cincinnati, they had 3rd and 1, and they ran basically a dive up the middle. And Aaron Donald made a play, stopped them short. Then they went for it on 4th down, and they were able to pressure Joe Burrow. Kind of wondering, on a 3rd and 1, you're almost at the 40-yard line midfield, some type of rollout pass, run pass option, but not a dive up the middle to right at the best, one of the best defensive players in all in the NFL, right at him. And I just thought that was a kind of a head scratcher of a call. But other than that one play, Lanny, I thought it was a well-played football game.
I did too. I did feel bad for OBJ. This was not the knee he had hurt before. This was different, and you could watch the way he came down. And, it may not have been that close had he been in there. The Rams really had to change the offensive philosophy a little bit from a receiver standpoint because with him being out, and I cannot remember their star receiver who's been out for most of the season, I just think it makes a difference.
Yeah, he was the kind of guy that would take pressure off Cooper Kupp. He would draw double teams, and Cooper Kupp's able to, maneuver his way in the center of the field, and OBJ is being able to run deep. OBJ got hurt.
And, some of the other things, other storylines in there, Aaron Donald, will he retire? Of course, Matthew Stafford finally gets out. Does that solidify a Hall of Fame place for Matt Stafford based on his performance on a really dismal team with Detroit and then finally getting a Super Bowl?
No.
Don't think so?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, you look at Matt Stafford, and I mean, does he have the talent to be in the Hall of Fame? Oh, sure. But when you look at his performances with Detroit, he was never a first-team All-Pro. I think he's only made one Pro Bowl in how many years he played for them? 10 or 11 years, something like that.
But he is playing for Detroit.
I know, but they're players that have a whole heck of a lot more on their resume. I just don't think – I personally don't think that Kurt Warner was a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
It was his story.
It was his story. And, you know,
Sam Mills.
Sam Mills, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It was a story. No, I agree.
It makes for a good story, but, I mean, I think the NFL, once they had that but the centennial last year when they inducted, you know, a bunch of classes, guys that kind of were left out, and they had a huge class over, I don't know how many years. I just think they watered it down a little bit, and I think you're going to continue to see that. Now, you know, there are other quarterbacks that I think deserve mention, and I don't think that just winning a Super Bowl is good enough to get you into the Hall of Fame. Otherwise, Jim Plunkett should be in. He's won 2.
Well, Jim Plunkett should be in. I guess here's some of the other things. He was never an All-Pro. He made the Pro Bowl one time, but some of the NFL records that he has, fastest player to reach 20,000 career passing yards, and he did it at Detroit, 71 games. Fastest player to reach 30,000, 109 games. Fastest player to reach 40,000, 147 games. Fastest player to reach 45,000 career passing yards, 165. And most fourth-quarter comebacks in a season, that's a record. That's 8. And first player to complete 60% or more of passes in every game in a season, that was back in 2015. Now, if you look at his touchdown and interceptions, he's 323 and 161. He's passed for just 5 yards shy of 50,000. Passer rating of 91.1. He has a completion percentage of 63%.
If he were to retire today, I still don't think he gets in.
I think you're right. Another Super Bowl?
Yeah, I would certainly another Super Bowl. Is he better? Is he more talented than Eli Manning?
You know how I feel about Eli Manning.
Does he get in ahead of Eli Manning?
Eli Manning's in. No. Stafford, Eli Manning, that's a slam dunk because he's got 2 Super Bowls, unlike Jim Plunkett, and those 2 Super Bowls were over the New England Patriots. That will be taken into consideration. Brandon said same thing that we did. Sam Mills' situation is the same as Kurt Warner. They will put him in. And then Brandon said many of Stafford's stats came from throwing against prevent defenses because they were always so far behind. And that's true, too. I agree with that, too. Richie said he thinks Stafford is better than Manning. I do from a quarterback perspective.
Correct.
And the other side of that is I think Matt Stafford would have been better than Eli Manning if he were Eli Manning on the New York Giants during those years.
Probably. I would agree.
So, you know, I mean, I guess that's kind of the way I look at it. I know you can't put all of those made-up things like that on.
Here's one, comparing a guy that never won a Super Bowl but has a lot of passing numbers. Who do you put in the Hall of Fame first? Or who deserves the Hall of Fame? You got to pick between one, Phillip Rivers or Matthew Stafford.
If it were today, Phillip Rivers because of the longevity of his career. Now, if Matt Stafford stays in as long as Rivers, I think he'll be above him. But if you had to look at it and do it today, I'm probably taking Rivers, even though he never accomplished a tremendous amount. Richie said, would Stafford have more than 2 Super Bowls if he was one of the on those Giant teams?
Yeah, boy, we'll never know, but possibly.
Yeah, I'm okay. I can buy that. I can see that. I sure can because I was never never an Eli fan. I think Eli got a lot of what Eli got because he's in the royal family of quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I look at, Eli was really good for a couple of years, and they won the 2 Super Bowls, and then all of a sudden the team got bad, and he got bad too, and he went right off the cliff and got benched.
But was it not the defense that won those Super Bowls more than Eli Manning?
The defense was very good.
Yeah.
But they did, he made
Oh,
some
yeah,
plays.
yeah. But he had some weapons too.
He sure did.
Yeah, I mean he had some name weapons. A couple other headlines that came out. Burrow said the Bengals will celebrate this year and use it for fuel for next year. I wonder what the future for OBJ will be. Aaron Donald non-committal on possible retirement. I wonder about Andrew Whitworth too, because he won the Peyton Manning Man of the Year this year. He's 40 years old, and that may be it may be time for him to hang him up as well. And then the non-football story that has to do with a football player, Adrian Peterson, was arrested in connection with what officials say was domestic violence, and the violent and what he did is considered federal or a felony domestic violence because it was done on a plane. They had to bring the plane back to the gate to get him off after a verbal and physical altercation between him and his wife. From what I understand, he had a $50,000 bail and was released on bond on Sunday afternoon. It said in a statement that two had a verbal argument on the flight. Peterson grabbed her wedding ring, scratched her finger. A source close to the Peterson said the plane had to return to the gate. She is not going to press charges, and she said this is a private misunderstanding between husband and wife, and we anticipate it will be resolved shortly. But I would say that this probably does finalize any possible hopes of coming back to the NFL just because of the situation.
Yeah, and he's 30-some years old.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yep.
I mean, think about this. If
36.
36. If this is his last year, in 5 years, Hall of Fame class. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame running back. I would think so.
Mm-hmm.
Notwithstanding all the other off-the-field issues that he's had with his son and whatnot going back a few years. But he, Tom Brady, and Ben Roethlisberger all will be eligible for that Hall of Fame in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's one hell of a Hall of Fame class.
Yes, it is. Let me switch over to, and I think you had already mentioned this to me, college football. Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss will all terminate their memberships with Conference USA on June 30th of this year. The three schools which are bound for the Sun Belt, in a similar statement that they first communicated their intent in December to cease participation in Conference USA at the end of the 21-22 academic year. Said the three schools, Conference USA has been unwilling to discuss a resolution. The three departing members were expected to follow league bylaws and honor their contracts by remaining through the 22-23 academic year. According to Extra Points USA conference bylaws, that members must give the conference 14 months notice. Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss announced their departure to the Sun Belt in October. Conference USA, when it first came out, appeared to be a stronger, more notable conference than the Sun Belt, because a lot of people were unhappy because Charlotte, who had never played at that level, went into that, and Appalachia went into the Sun Belt. But now it seems to have flip-flopped a little bit, and it seems like the Sun Belt is a little stronger.
Oh, yeah. I think one of those conferences is in trouble. I don't know if it's
well, it's that one because Texas San Antonio, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and Charlotte are leaving for the American Athletic Conference in the fall of 2023. And Conference USA is set to add Liberty, New Mexico State, Sam Houston State, and Jacksonville State. Now, Jacksonville State, that's Dion, right?
No, that's Jackson State.
Jackson State. Okay. The Sun Belt is also adding James Madison, which we've talked about, which is an FCS program.
And so is Jacksonville. Jacksonville State was an FCS program, and they're moving up.
Okay. So, we thought just a couple of years ago that this whole realignment and moving everywhere was over, and it's never going to be over.
No, it's not. And I think the strong are going to get stronger, and some of the weaker conferences, if not schools, They got to be looking. And I'm very surprised that some of these schools have this. We talked last week about some of these non-football playing schools moving from Division II up to Division I. I'm surprised that some of these D1 football programs, they're just hanging on by the seat of their pants, and their big paydays playing a Power 5 school to pay off a lot of those bills. I'm surprised that you're not going to hear about some of these schools that are kind of iffy right now, maybe even dropping down to FCS and maybe down to Division II. I think we're going to see a lot more change over the next couple of years.
Do they allow teams to, and I think I already know the answer to this, they do allow schools to split divisions on different programs, because at one time, wasn't Davidson a Division III football team, but yet they were Division I in basketball?
Well, yeah, it's a matter, Lanny, of semantics, really, when you think about it, because why can't, and again, why we ceding this power to the NCAA when we criticize it so much for all the nitpicky stuff that they do? Why should the NCAA decide if I'm a school and I know what's my best interest? Why can't I be a Division I football school and be a Division or an FCS basketball school? If I want to be a Division I basketball school, why can't I be a Division II football school?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of thing. For instance,
because everything's based on scholarship numbers.
Yeah, and I think it's based off of attendance at football games too. I think they have some kind of formula.
Oh, for the big boys it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for all the FCS and all that, I think they have a formula of that. But with as much as things have changed, especially financially for some of these schools, I still don't understand why should a state school in Division II that has 25,000 students, why can't they move up to FCS? You got FCS schools like a Wofford or a Furman that has 2,500 or less, the size of LR, 2,000 to 2,500 students enrollment at these schools. Yet they're playing schools that have twice, 3 times, 4 times the size of their enrollment. They're playing these schools in the playoffs. There's no chance that a lot of these smaller schools ever are going to have the chance to win a national championship in football. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened in 40 years in FCS and also in Division II that a private school goes up against a big state school and wins a national championship. It hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. Why are they keeping the same rules, even though it's apparent that maybe it's not working? I don't know.
And when you talk about that, the football subdivision, the FBS, the top tier, really is kind of small in what it requires. According to the NCAA, you got to have a minimum of 16 varsity intercollegiate sports, including football. Schedule and play at least 60% of its football contests against members of FBS. Schedule and play at least 5 regular season home games against FBS. Average at least 15,000 in actual or paid attendance for all home football contests over a rolling 2-year period. Provide an average of at least 90% of the permissible maximum number of overall football granting aids per year over a rolling 2-year. And annually offer a minimum of 200 athletes granting aid, or at least $4 million in granted aid to student athletes in athlete programs. But from a stadium standpoint, 15,000 is not a whole lot. That's how Charlotte got in. Now, they had to bring in a few temporary bleachers when they first opened because the actual stadium was just a little under 15, but that's how they got around it.
Well, why not 20? I mean, how'd they arbitrarily come up with 15?
I got nothing. Nothing.
And they came up with this, 10 years ago? However, again, it's at some of these arcane and archaic rules and formulas that were established years ago, they're trying to apply to 2022.
Yep. No, I agree. Brandon said, I believe that Thomas in Minnesota moved up. They went from D3 to D1 playing in Stetson and Presbyterian's conference. Are they FCS?
Yeah, that's the Pioneer League. They don't
Okay.
offer scholarships, Lanny, in
Okay.
terms of traditional scholarships. Yeah, but they play some Division I sports, baseball and basketball. But for football, they are FCS non-scholarship.
And that's what Davidson is, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
Is that the same conference?
Okay. Yep. I don't know. It's just it's still kind of a mess, I think. Rich said it was a good story about the Rams tackle. Andrew Whitworth went through rehab last year, and Joe Burrow went through rehab on his knee, and they both did it in L.A. Whitworth reached out to him, and they rehabbed together and became friends. That was, I guess, one of the things that I noticed last night at the game, except for just a play or two. A lot of really good sportsmanship, not a tremendous amount of trash talking, not a lot of extracurricular activity. They got upset at Aaron Donald on that one play where Joe Burrow was running to the sidelines and Donald pushed him out. Well, here's the deal. He was 2 steps away from the sidelines, and Darnold can do whatever he wants to him. That's the rule. You don't have to like it, but that's the rule.
Yeah, and he pushed him. He didn't hit him. He
just pushed him. Yeah.
And I think he was trying to reach, maybe not reach, but he was trying to get a first down.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anything wrong with the play myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think some after the extracurricular, and was there? I don't think there was a flag even thrown on.
There wasn't. They got them all separated, and everything was okay. Everything was okay. And you saw the play on the one touchdown. The player who was not active came off the bench into the celebration in the end zone. Yeah. And the Bengals got a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he's not on the team after today.
Yeah. Well, or when training camp comes around. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That was bad.
I agree with you.
That was bad. I don't want to keep you. I know you've got things going on. You got anything else for us?
About the football side of it, I think. I don't know if I mentioned this on Wednesday. Maybe I didn't. The Steelers, maybe I did. The Steelers hired former Panthers wide receivers coach as their new wide receivers coach. I can't remember his name right now. I don't have it written down, but he was with the Panthers, came with Matt Rule. He coached with Matt Rule at Baylor, and he came with them. And over the last 2 years, he's been the wide receivers coach. And he was let go when Joe Brady was let go back earlier in the season. Well, he now is hooked on with the Steelers as their new wide receivers coach, replacing Ike Hilliard, who was let go after the season. And I thought it funny because, and I can't think of the guy's name, but he coached at NC State. He was a wide receivers coach at NC State when Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada was an offensive coordinator at NC State. So there's some history there. And I think the Steelers are getting ready to rework their whole offensive philosophy. They're going to hire a new offensive line coach, an assistant offensive line coach. They're going to take the wheels off of the offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. They got a new wide receivers coach. I think they're going to make some changes when it comes to that. So, I wanted to mention that. And I think you're going to see a lot more changes when it comes to some of the coaches around the NFL. They talk about the silly season with head coaches, but now the Super Bowl's over with. I think you're going to see some coaches move around even more, especially on the assistant coaching fronts. Mm-hmm. These 6 or 7 new coaches try to put their staffs together.
One headline that I read yesterday was Eric Bieniemy may be out at Kansas City. His contract is up after this year. And then the other thing that I saw, which it always happens just as soon as the final whistle blows, do you know who the odds-on favorite for next year's Super Bowl are?
I do not know, but I would probably say, I'd say the Rams, then Kansas City.
It is Kansas City, and this didn't make any sense. Maybe it was the Rams, but the Bills was the other team. It can't be Kansas City because it can't be Kansas City and the Bills because they're both in the AFC.
Yeah, you're right.
It was Rams. It must have been the Rams and the Bills.
Yeah,
but don't count out Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, unless they got to get their offensive line fixed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They're going to get that quarterback killed. He got sacked 70 times this year. He's only 24, 25 years old. They do it again next year. He will be he'll be like Joe Namath in about 4 or 5 years. But one thing about the Buffalo Bills, I thought this interesting. Did you see who they hired as their new offensive coordinator?
No.
Joe Brady.
Uh-huh. Well, most of the league coaches feel like Matt Rule is a lame duck coach. Nothing's going to happen.
Well, Buffalo lost Brian Daboll to the Giants, and so they hired Joe Brady. Again, they're a little Panther connection. I mean, there's so many guys that are in their front office or on their coaching staff that have been in Carolina. But I thought that interesting, made that hire official over the weekend.
You sent a thing to me about Panther coaches leaving, and I sent back and I said that is rats leaving a sinking ship.
Yeah.
And I will give you this one. Richie said LR baseball's rolling, and he also said that he came across an article about Rule cutting Eli Apple, who just played in the Super Bowl. He cut Apple and told him that he did not believe that Apple would be in the league after he got cut from the Panthers. Eli Apple has got a really bad attitude to me. He might be a pretty good player, but I'm not crazy about his attitude.
Well, he's played at 3 or 4 different teams. And what Richie said about baseball, they're 8-1, off to a great start. I was trying to get maybe their coach, Chris Ramirez. He's been on the show before. They're in the midst of a 13-game homestand.
Wow.
There's a chance, and they swept the team that was preseason ranked number 14 in the country, and LR beat them 4 straight over the weekend. And our friend Andrew Patrick, who played at Bandy's, Catawba Valley Community College, we had him on the show earlier last year. He's off to a 2-0 start, had another shutout pitching performance on Friday. LR baseball, they might get some national recognition this year. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or win a conference championship. That belongs to Wingate in the South Atlantic Conference. But the Bears can, contend and get their third straight winning season. That hasn't happened in about 25 years. I think they're on their way to maybe becoming a national baseball recognition there in terms of Division II. But they're off to a great start, 8-1, nothing to sneeze at, especially after you beat a team that was ranked 14th in the preseason. Now, albeit, Lanny, the team was from Delaware, and they're only playing their first 4 games of the season. Lenore Ryan's gone on, and they've played about 10 games already this year. So, yeah, I mean, that's some good news if you are an LR Bear baseball fan. You look at their roster, they got kids from Bandy's, they got kids from Hickory, they got kids from CVCC, Caldwell Community College. So they're doing a great job of recruiting some local talent, and they're also getting some transfers from all over the country. They got some players from Canada, and they got some players from Arizona and California.
Wow. All right, sir. I appreciate if you'll hold on the line 1 second. I'm going to take a break, and I'll be back and wrap it up in just a moment.
Sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. At Stifel Nicholas, we're committed to offering investors personalized investment guidance. We're a full-service organization with departments staffed with professionals that specialize in a wide range of investment opportunities, from the most conservative to the most aggressive. We strive to give each account, regardless of size, careful, individual attention. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. And welcome back. Appreciate Juju taking a little time out with us. Let me give you a couple nuggets. I shared one on my Facebook yesterday. The ACC is undoubtedly considering doing away with divisions. Now, I don't know if this is official, but this was on one of the fan sites that I follow for Clemson. But the Atlantic Coast Conference doing away with two divisions of football is an idea whose time has come. Now it's up to the league to make a decision, ask the NCAA to allow it to happen. The ACC held its annual winter meeting last week in Fort Lauderdale, and the forefront of discussion were talks about football scheduling and doing away with the divisions. To put it simply, divisions don't work well with competitive scheduling balance and often delay the games between teams for long spans of time. For instance, Pitt has been in the league for almost a decade, and Clemson made its first trip this past season. The Tigers haven't played at Virginia since 2013 and haven't played at Duke since 2012. That's something that needs to be addressed and it needs to be handled. Now, will it? I don't know. You know, you're talking about people trying to figure out, well, is it in our best record from a money standpoint? And that's where everything is geared for when you start talking about college athletics. It's about the almighty dollar. I get it. I just don't like it. Let me give you this. Today in sports history, a couple of things that happened. I know the Rock said yesterday it was the first time ever that the Olympics and the Super Bowl occurred on the same day. I was not aware of that. In 1951, Sugar Ray Robinson defeated Jake LaMotta and takes the middleweight title. The 1960, the second Daytona 500, Junior Johnson survives a 37-car crash on turn 4 to win in a Chevrolet. Let's see. Wilt Chamberlain breaks the NBA scoring record in 1966 with 20,884 points. 71, in the 13th annual Daytona 500, Richard Petty won his 13th title. Bobby Allison won it in 82 over Cale Yarborough with a 23-second lead. Let's see what else we've got here. In 1988, the 30th Daytona, Bobby Allison beat his son Davey to the finish line. And it's remembered for Richard Petty's rollover crash in the Tri-Oval on lap 106. He rolled over 8 times and hit Brett Bodine and walked away unhurt. Dale Jarrett in 93 won for Joe Gibbs. And let's see. In 1999, Jeff Gordon wins, and the first Daytona 500 pole setter to win a race since Bill Elliott did it in 1987. That's always a big deal to win the pole and win it. Shaun White. They were talking about a few events there. See if we got any birthdays for today. I didn't see any passings for today. Quickly run down through here. Woody Hayes was born on this day in 1913. Of course, he passed away in 1987. Mel Allen, the voice of the Yankees, was born on this day in Birmingham, Alabama. Banjo Matthews, talking about NASCAR. He was an owner and constructor for A.J. Floyd, and Cale Yarborough was born in Akron back in 1932. Mickey Wright, LPGA, 13 majors, 82 tour wins, was born on this day in 1935. Bob Murphy Jr., you see him, he's a commentator now, born on this day in 1943. JoJo Starbucks, ice skater, was born in 1951. What's her claim to fame besides ice skating? If I'm not mistaken, she was married to Terry Bradshaw somewhere along the line. Jim Kelly was born on this day in 1960 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's see if there's any more. If we was into wickets, I've got a lot of, cricket. I've got a lot of wicket players out there talking about their wickets that they've done. Drew Bledsoe, born on this day in 1972. He has actually been very successful in the winery business since getting out of the NFL. Steve McNair, Aaron McNair, born on this day in 1973. Wow, a lot of birthdays today. Taking me a while to get through them. But that looks like that's going to wrap it up for all the birthdays that we have. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great Valentine's Day. Thanks for joining me early today. I appreciate it. All of you that stuck around for a little while, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate Juju going in. Richie said, kind of glad they voted for it, but kind of surprised. Clemson historically has voted against it. Bob said, if the Super Bowl keeps being moved to a later date, we can hide Easter eggs on the same day. Bob, it's going to happen. Wouldn't surprise me in a couple of years if we're not doing it in March, which is way too late. Have a great day, folks. For Remember, and I'll join you in the morning right here bright and early, 8 o'clock a.m. Have a great Valentine's. See ya.